Hello and welcome to the Endocrine System Part 1. In this video, we will be discussing the functions of the endocrine system, the endocrine and exocrine glands, and the thyroid. So first, we will be discussing the functions of the endocrine system. So the endocrine system helps to maintain what is called homeostasis within the body. Now, homeostasis is basically balance and equilibrium within the body, where every functions are working correctly and nothing is too much or too little. So, for example, if the body takes in too much water, this can upset homeostasis. But if the right amount of water is taken in where everything can run smoothly, then there's equilibrium in the body. So the endocrine system works with the nervous system to control things like thirst and hunger, body temperature, blood pressure, involuntary functions, essentially. So then the endocrine system controls metabolism, which is the body's mechanism for extracting nutrients from food. And then the endocrine system stimulates the release of various reproductive hormones, which are essential for reaching maturation and basically growth and development. So such reproductive hormones are estrogen and testosterone, which we will learn in future PowerPoints. Next, the endocrine system releases various neurotransmitters, which are basically chemical signals that communicate with the brain, and these neurotransmitters basically control mood. So some neurotransmitters are dopamine and serotonin. Next, we'll talk about the exocrine and endocrine glands. So the exocrine glands are glands that produce hormones from ducts instead of directly into the body. So some of these can be sweat gland ducts, which use a duct to deliver the sweat to the skin. So exocrine glands it's important to know that exocrine glands have ducts and endocrine glands have no ducts. They just directly secrete the hormone into the bloodstream. So some of these examples are the adrenal glands, which have no ducts, and the adrenal glands produce cortisol directly into the bloodstream. So exocrine has a duct and endocrine no duct. Now, the pancreas, which we'll talk about in another video, the pancreas is both an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland. So it has a duct that produces hormones, but it also produces hormones directly into the bloodstream. So we'll talk about that more in a later video. Now we have the thyroid. So as you can see from the diagram, the thyroid is basically found in the throat and has kind of a butterfly shape. It also has a right lobe and a left lobe, and then the center is called the isthmus. So the thyroid basically controls metabolism, which is, as we discussed, is the body's mechanism for absorbing nutrients from the food we eat. So the thyroid produces two hormones called T3 and T4. And both of these hormones control things like temperature and metabolism. So the metabolism control comes from these two hormones. And it's important to know that T3 is basically stronger than T4. So the thyroid also produces what is called calcitonin, which this hormone basically regulates the amount of calcium found in the blood. So if the blood has too much calcium, the thyroid will release calcitonin, which stimulates the bones to take in more calcium to decrease the calcium levels found in the blood. So remember, the thyroid works when there is too much calcium in the blood. Now, when there's too little calcium in the blood, another gland will take effect, but that will be discussed in a later video. So again, thyroid takes control when there's too much calcium in the blood. It releases calcitonin to stimulate calcium increase in the bones to decrease it in the blood. Question time. So, true or false? An endocrine gland secretes hormones through a duct. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said false, that's correct. So, an endocrine gland secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream. An exocrine gland requires a duct. So, this sentence can be rephrased to say an endocrine gland secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream, or an exocrine gland secretes hormones through a duct. Question 2. What hormone produced by the thyroid what hormone is produced by the thyroid to decrease calcium levels in the blood? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said C, calcitonin, you are correct. So again, when the blood has too much calcium, the thyroid will release calcitonin to stimulate calcium increase in the bones. So when that happens, the bones essentially take in more calcium and decrease the levels found in the blood. Last question. Which of the following is a function of the endocrine system? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said A, homeostasis, you are correct. So again, homeostasis is the balance and equilibrium within the body. So the endocrine system works with the nervous system to make sure that the body is healthy and runs smoothly and all functions run smoothly, and essentially make sure that everything is basically working as it should. And homeostasis is disrupted if, for example, there's too much water, then homeostasis is disrupted. If there's too little water, then homeostasis is disrupted. But if there's just the right amount, then homeostasis is achieved. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.